Hello, my beautiful radiant Leo souls, and welcome back to Cosmic Wisdom. I am your guide on this incredible cosmic journey, and I have a feeling you are here right now because your magnificent spirit has sensed a shift, a deep, rumbling vibration on the horizon of your reality. Are you ready to hear something that will shake the very foundations of your world, but only to reveal the unshakable kingdom that has always existed within you? Because there is a message making its way through time and space, destined for your heart and your heart alone. It's not just a message, my friends. It is a solar roar from the deepest part of your soul, a summons you have been waiting for across lifetimes. A shocking, undeniable truth is coming, and it's arriving to change absolutely everything. This isn't about a simple piece of news. Oh no, my glorious Leos, this is about the bell toll of your soul's forgotten sovereignty. It is a memory, an energy that was suppressed before you ever learned the words to describe your own light. It doesn't come to frighten you. It has come to remind you that the crown has always been yours. In this journey together today, you will finally understand why the moments of doubt you've carried were never a reflection of your worth, but a testament to the sheer power of your radiance, a radiance so potent it had to be contained. We will uncover what was taken from you before you ever knew the true measure of your own kingdom. And if your heart is already beating faster, if your soul is whispering, "Yes, this is for me," then I want you to do something powerful right now. Go to the comments and declare your readiness to the universe by typing, "I am ready to reclaim my light." Let that be your digital roar, a signal to the cosmos that you are stepping into your power. And while you are there, my beautiful friend, press that subscribe button and join our incredible pride here at Cosmic Wisdom. We are a community of souls dedicated to living our most authentic, magnificent lives, and I want to make sure you never miss these life-altering cosmic updates. Now let's begin this transformative journey together, shall we? My dear Leo, you didn't click on this video looking for a simple prediction. You were guided here because your royal spirit has been waiting for far too long. Waiting for someone to have the courage to look past the surface and speak to the silent truth you have always carried in your heart, a feeling that you were born for a grander stage, yet somehow found yourself playing a small part. I am not here to decode the future, but to touch a sacred piece of your past that was never given a name. A piece of your history that, even though you have lived it, has lingered like a subtle eclipse over your brilliant inner sun. There are feelings that logic can never quite touch, aren't there? That sense of profound exhaustion that greets you some mornings even after a full night's sleep. That quiet ache in your chest, a feeling of being unseen, even when you are in a crowded room. It's as if you've been conducting a magnificent symphony your entire life, but someone turned down the volume before you ever learned how to command the orchestra. If you have ever felt deep in your bones that some part of your story does not belong to you, that you are living out a script written by a lesser playwright, that you are carrying a burden of self-doubt that you never chose, then today, the truth will not just be revealed, it will be roared from the heavens to set you free. This is not about blame, my friends. This is about liberation. There is a presence and energy within your ancestral lineage. It could be a powerful matriarch, a patriarch, or someone further back in time, but closer in energetic influence. This soul, living in a world of their own perceived limitations, made a decision. It wasn't a decision made with words, but with intention. It was a silent pact made with fear, the fear of being overshadowed. And you, my beautiful Leo, your brilliant, sun-kissed soul was seen as a threat to their carefully constructed world of shadows. A piece of your magnificent light was intentionally covered from the moment you arrived, not because you were flawed, but because your light was too pure, too powerful, too undeniably authentic. It threatened the very fabric of the world they had built from compromise and control. From your earliest days, you likely felt a profound sense of being different. You saw the magic in the mundane, you felt the pulse of life in moments others missed, and your heart beat with a generosity and warmth that was your celestial birthright. You were born to shine, to lead with love, to take center stage not out of ego, but because the stage is where your soul feels most at home. And what happened? You were told you were too much, too loud, too dramatic, too attention-seeking. Your innate confidence was labeled as arrogance. Your boundless joy was seen as a performance. You were made into the problem, but in truth, you were simply the mirror, reflecting the light they had long since extinguished within themselves. They did not have the courage to face their own reflection, so they tried to shatter the mirror. In many spiritual traditions, we speak of energetic inheritance. It is a chain of beliefs and emotional patterns passed down through generations. Pain that is not healed, fear that is not faced, it doesn't simply vanish. It is passed down like an invisible heavy cloak from one generation to the next. And your soul, my magnificent Leo soul, is the final one in that line. You were not chosen to endure this burden further. You were chosen to burn it away with the fire of your truth. As the great spiritual masters have taught, nothing can remain hidden in the presence of unwavering light. You, Leo, are that light. A brilliant, generous light, powerful enough to melt the generational ice of a lineage that has been frozen in fear for far too long. Perhaps you once believed them. Perhaps you thought your radiance was a flaw, that your desire to be seen was a weakness, that your inability to play small meant you were not worthy of love. But you were never wrong. You were simply standing under the weight of a narrative you never agreed to. And today, right now, I want you to feel that weight dissolving, not with words, but with a deep, cellular remembering. Remember who you were before someone else's fear was projected onto your magnificent spirit. Do you know, my radiant friend, that the most painful wounds often come not from grand betrayals, but from the quiet, repeated dismissals of your very essence? A look of annoyance when you expressed your joy, a condescending remark when you shared a bold dream. A night spent wondering why your innate warmth was met with such coldness. Each of those moments, those tiny shards of misunderstanding, may have built a fortress around your heart, leading you to a silent, devastating conclusion: something must be wrong with the very core of who I am. No, beautiful Leo, there is nothing wrong with you. There has never been anything wrong with you. The only thing that was ever out of alignment was that you were made to carry the heavy crown of a karmic story that no one ever taught you how to transmute. You don't have to carry it for one more second. You no longer need to audition for a role in someone else's play. You have always been the star, the director, and the playwright of your own magnificent life. I invite you now, just for a moment, to close your eyes, place a hand over your heart, and ask your soul this question: is there a belief I am carrying about my own light that was never mine to begin with? You don't need the answer to come in words, just feel. The moment you ask is the moment the door to your inner kingdom begins to swing open. I am sharing this with you, not so you will hold on to resentment, but so you will finally deeply understand. You are not too much. You are not arrogant. You are a radiant being, standing on the wreckage of unspoken insecurities, and you are still shining. Do not let this pattern of suppression pass through you to the next generation. Do not let this silent curse of playing small live one more day. Let it end here with you, with the Leo soul. The soul that knows how to love with boundless generosity, how to lead with courage, and how to burn away that which no longer serves the heart. You see, there are lights in this universe that are born not to be merely pretty, but to be powerful, to enter the darkest corners of human consciousness and flood them with truth. Your light, Leo, was made to destroy the darkness of inauthenticity. Because of that light, you became the threat they could never name. Not because you were wrong, but because your soul, even in its quietest moments, radiated a truth they had spent their entire lives running from. You've asked yourself, haven't you, why do the people who should love me the most seem so threatened by my happiness? Why does my confidence make them so uncomfortable? Why is it that when I simply live from my heart, they accuse me of being dramatic? You've wondered, what did I do that was so wrong? You may have internalized this, believing you were a burden, and began the painful process of dimming your own light. I must be less, you told yourself, less vibrant, less passionate, less me. But the truth is, you never needed to be less of anything. You only needed to understand this: you are a sun they cannot control, and the sun is never welcomed by those who have made their home in the shadows. There was someone early on who saw your brilliant potential, someone you looked to for validation, for a warm embrace, for a look that said, "I see you and you are magnificent." But they couldn't give that to you, not because you were unworthy, but because your light, even as a child, terrified them. In your effortless radiance, they saw everything they were not. They saw their own unhealed wounds, their compromises, their fears. And instead of stepping into the light with you, they chose the easier path. They tried to put out the fire. But they failed, my friend. They failed because you are still here. You are still shining. Even if you once trembled, even if you were made to feel small, misunderstood, or alone, your inner sun has never been extinguished. And that is a power no one can ever take from you. Sometimes the universe doesn't knock on your door with a polite tap. For a soul as powerful as yours, Leo, it arrives with a solar roar. It comes as a sudden, undeniable wave of truth that makes your entire inner world stand still. It may come through a phone call, a startling dream, a strange coincidence, or a casual remark from a stranger that stops you in your tracks because your heart recognizes a profound truth. That message, that cosmic signal, it did not arrive to frighten you. It came to confirm what your magnificent heart has always known. Your entire life, perhaps you felt like you were dancing to a rhythm no one else could hear. You walked beside others, yet always felt a step apart. You gave your heart with boundless generosity, only to be met with suspicion. You tried to fit into their world, but the more you tried, the more you felt like a lion trying to live in a cage. And you used to think, maybe I am just too different, too sensitive. So you began to perform. You smiled when you wanted to weep. You stayed quiet when you wanted to roar. You pretended to be content when your soul was yearning for more. All so that no one around you would feel uncomfortable. But behind that carefully crafted performance, what was there? An old wound that never healed. An invisible pain that no one ever acknowledged. A nagging feeling that you were not living your life, but merely auditioning for it. Leo, you are not imagining this. You are right. The story you have been living was never big enough for your soul. And that message that fate had called was no accident. It came to place a definitive end to the performance. It is the universe handing you back the script to your own life and saying, it's time to write your own glorious ending. In spiritual teachings, there is a moment called the Great Awakening. It is when something you have only vaguely sensed suddenly crystallizes into undeniable truth. It is when the truth, even if it remains unspoken by others, appears before your own eyes with such clarity that you can no longer deny it. The scriptures say, the truth will set you free. And you, my beautiful Leo, it is your time to be gloriously, unapologetically free. No truth ever arrives to punish. Truth is not a sword, it is a key. The key to the door of the kingdom your soul has been locked out of for far too long. The tightness you might feel in your chest right now is not fear. It is the feeling of your soul finally being seen. Not with comforting platitudes, but with a raw, powerful truth you have always carried. Do you know why you hold on to things so deeply, Leo? A broken promise, a dismissive look, a word of praise never given. It is because for you everything has heart, everything has meaning. Even a forgotten promise can rest inside you like a quiet weight. The message you are about to receive, or perhaps have just received, is not the beginning of the pain. It is the final bell. It is the end of you waiting for others to validate your existence. It is the end of you needing to explain the sun to those who have only ever known the shadows. It is the end of all those years you mistook your sacred wound for your destiny. Let's be still for a moment. Sit with your magnificent self and listen to the rhythm of your own heart. It isn't beating for anyone else's approval. It's beating because you are still here, still alive, still standing, and still holding the sacred creative power to choose again. To say, I am not what they called me. I no longer have to carry the weight of their fears. I can begin to live in my own light starting today. That call, that roar, it might be very quiet. It may have already arrived disguised as a sudden surge of creative energy, a message from an old friend who reminds you of who you used to be, a dream where you saw yourself on a throne bathed in golden light. But no matter the form it takes, you will recognize it, because your body, your soul, your entire being will respond with a resounding yes. And when it comes, do not feel you have to analyze it or understand it with your mind. You only need to let it live inside you, like the first rays of dawn in a room you never realized was dark. My dear Leo, some chapters do not need to end with an apology from those who wronged you. Some stories do not need anyone else to admit they hurt you for your healing to be complete. When the truth finally arrives in its full glory, it doesn't come to make you scream in anger. It comes to let you finally deeply breathe, to breathe like a sovereign soul returning to the throne room of their own heart. You do not need to win the old story, Leo. You do not need to prove you were right. You do not need to argue or explain or wait for someone to finally see your light and approve of it. You only need to turn and walk away. Not in defeat, but in glorious victory. You are not escaping, you are ascending. You have spent so much of your precious energy trying to understand. Why did they treat you that way? Why did your joy make them so uncomfortable? Why did your very presence, even in silence, trigger their deepest insecurities? You searched for reasons, you healed, you prayed, you tried to find a logical explanation that would allow you to finally feel at peace. But my beautiful friend, sometimes there is no beautiful reason for an ugly act of fear. Sometimes you are simply a radiant, pure soul who was misunderstood, not because you deserved it, but because you were the sun they couldn't control. You do not need another reason. You need a new beginning, a new chapter, where you are no longer the misunderstood character in the story they created. You were not born to live forever in the shadow of someone else's tale. You are the one who gets to rewrite your own destiny, starting right now from this page forward. The universe did not call you out of the storm just to leave you standing in a patch of sunlight, afraid to move. It called you forth so you would know in every cell of your being that you are worthy of absolute freedom. You are worthy of a love that celebrates your light, not contains it. You are worthy of being present without having to apologize for the space you take up. You are worthy of breathing without having to justify the fire in your lungs. In the highest spiritual sense, this is your coronation. It is not a place where you stop feeling. It is the place where you are no longer trapped by the roles that energetic inheritance assigned to you. It is the moment you realize you are not their fear, not their insecurity, not the disappointment they once projected onto you. You are you, free, radiant, beginning again, without needing a single soul's permission. From this moment on, your light belongs to you. No one can take it, no one can dim it, and no one can ever again trade it for your silence. You don't need permission to live fully. You don't need anyone to validate your wounds for them to be real. And you certainly don't need anyone to understand you in order to be true to yourself. When this truth fully lands in your heart, it comes so that you can choose differently. Choose to rise, choose to let go, choose to love yourself with the same fierce loyalty you have so often given to others. Choose to live. Take a deep, gentle breath, my friend, and feel this with your whole heart. You are no longer where you used to be. You are no longer the child who had to shrink so others could feel big. You are no longer the soul who had to sacrifice your own joy to keep fragile relationships intact. You are no longer the one who carried the weight of the world and was called too much for it. Now, you are you, a new Leo, not hoping to be understood, but committed to understanding yourself. Not begging to be loved, but radiating a love so powerful it becomes magnetic. Not needing to justify your past, but creating a future so bright it illuminates the way for others. If today is the day you finally pause to breathe, to forgive, and to come back to life on your own terms, where will you begin? Write it down in the comments, not for me, but as a sacred vow to your own magnificent soul. Because the first prayer is never upward, it is always inward. Thank you for listening with your whole courageous heart. I know it is not easy to face a truth this profound, but you did. In the most beautiful way only a Leo soul ever could. I wish you, my dearest radiant Leo, always enough light, not only to find your own way home, but to become a brilliant guiding star for all the other souls who are still searching for theirs.